think we can turn the light.
Gopi Jana Baba Giribare Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Giribare Hari Ranjana Yashodanandana Talavana ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Am I running here? She here? I want to read her something.
Who is this?
Maharani. She in the back? Oh. I found something that she might need right now. She's in. No. I found this thing from the Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam Yahatma, and it's a nice verse about festivals.
Oh.
It'll give you some
Idea?
No, it'll give you some peace of mind.
Oh.
Maybe. It says, O Brahma, O Subrata, among all types of festivals, the festival of discussing Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost. So we're doing that. Okay, so that makes everything auspicious.
Yes.
Okay.
I like that.
So those who participate in such festivals for my pleasure and hear Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion, and those who worship Srimad Bhagavatam with cloth, ornaments, flowers, lamp, and incense certainly control me, just as a chaste wife controls her good husband. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the it's the Gita Mahatmya. There's also the Bhagavatam Mahatmya, and it's really. I'm going to read a few verses from it. I found it.
Thank you.
So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Narang Chaiva Nurottamam. Deving Saraswatim Vyasam. To Jayamudiriye. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, we should first offer our respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the Supreme Human Being, Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinandi, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pachani Nivasesha Sunyavari Paskitari. There's a lot in this, but I thought maybe just, you can hear just a few of these benedictions here about hearing. But there's like 4 or 5 chapters here at the end. And just when you read and you listen to it, it really is very inspiring, and you want to just grab the Bhagavatam and start reading. And with the same enthusiasm as Sati Sundari. So it says, this is just some at the end here, I reside in the house of one who has kept there a verse, a half verse, or even a quarter of a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. The purity one attains by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be attained by visiting Badrikasham or taking bath at the confluence of Prayag. O four-headed Brahma, I go wherever the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam are discussed, just as a cow spontaneously follows her calf. I never leave one who enjoys speaking or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. One who does not offer respects after seeing the auspicious Srimad Bhagavatam loses the pious credits he accumulated over the past year. I am unlimitedly pleased with one who stands in respect and then offers obeisances upon seeing Srimad Bhagavatam. A person who circumambulates the Srimad Bhagavatam achieves the results of an ashrameda yoga with every step. Every step is one ashrameda. Maybe we should do a circumambulation. Of this there is no doubt. For one who stands in respect and then offers obeisances upon seeing Srimad Bhagavatam, I offer him wealth, wife, children, and devotional service. My dear son, I am controlled by those who worship Srimad Bhagavatam with 16 ingredients and hear Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion. O Brahma, O Suvrata, among all types of festivals, the festival of discussing Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost. Those who participate in such festivals for my pleasure and hear Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion, and those who worship Srimad Bhagavatam with cloth, that's the same verse, with cloth, ornaments, flowers, lamp, and incense certainly control me, just as a chaste wife controls her husband. And actually then also back here it talks about if you do like, where is it? Oh yeah, if you daily read Srimad Bhagavatam, you will attain one who daily reads Srimad Bhagavatam will attain with every syllable the results of giving a brown cow in charity. One who reads or hears even a half or a quarter of a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam attains the result of giving 1,000 cows in charity. My dear son, one who daily reads Srimad Bhagavatam with full concentration attains the results of studying the 18 Puranas. So it just goes on and on like this. Vaishnavas like Prahlad Maharaj are always present wherever the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam are discussed. Those who worship Srimad Bhagavatam are beyond the jurisdiction of Kali. So it's very, anyone who has some, interest in making spiritual advancement and has faith in these words, this should be very inspiring for us, for myself as a neophyte trying to understand the Bhagavatam in the association of other like-minded souls. So the thing is that Mayapur thinks that he's going to be doing verse 26, and this is 23. So I don't know if I should read all three of them, or I should just, I don't know what to do. Anyway, we'll just figure it out as we go along. So this is this is text 23, right? And so it says, Vashtuno. Is that the right one? Mridu. Katinya. Vashtuno. And I'm having trouble seeing. Can someone, Kavali, can you chant it for me?
Vashtuno Mridu Katinya.
Vashtuno Mridu Katinya.
Lagu Gurvasno Sitatam Jigrik Shivitas Swam Nirvina Tasyam Roma Mahiruha Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas Vachalabda Gunovritaha Vastuno Mridukatinya Lagu Puroshna Shitatam Jigri Satas Swam Nirvina Tasyam Roma Mahiruha Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas Vachalabda Gunovritaha Vastuno Mridukatinya Lagu Gurasno Sitatam Jigri Satas Twam Nirvina Tasyam Roma Mahiruha Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas Vachalabda Gunovritaha.
According to what I just counted, we just did 50 cows in charity. Anyone else want to chant?
Vastuno Mridukatinya Lagu Gurvoshna Shitatam Jigrikshatas Twan Nirvina Tasyam Roma Mahiruha Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas Vachalabda Gunovritaha
Vastu no mridu katinya.
Vastu no mridukatinya.
Guguras no stitatam.
Bhagavatam.
Chikar satas tva nirvina.
Chikrisatas samivana.
Tasyam roma mahiruha.
Tasyam roma mahiruha.
Tatra chatar bahir bhakta.
Tatta chantu mahirvatas.
Svacha labda guno vrita. Vastu no mridu katinya. Lagu guras no stitatam. Jigris satas tvam nirvina. Tasyam roma mahiruha. Tatra chatar bahir bhaktas. Tvacha labda guno vritaha. Vastu no mridu katinya. Lagu guras no stitatam. Jigris satas tvam nirvina. Tasyam roma mahiruha. Tatra chatta bahir bhaktas. Tvacha labda guno vritaha.
So the translation is, when there was a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, cold, lightness, and heaviness, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hairs on the body, and their controlling deities, the trees, were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which sense perception becomes prominent. Please repeat. When there was a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, and cold, lightness and heaviness, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hairs on the body, and their controlling deities, the trees, were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which sense perception becomes prominent. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. The physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, are subjects of sense perception. And thus physical knowledge is the subject matter of the touch sensation. I'm really having trouble seeing today. One can measure the temperature of nature or matter by touching with the hand. One can measure the weight of an object by lifting it with the hand, and thus estimate its heaviness or lightness. The skin pores, and the hairs on the body are all interdependent with the touch sensation. The air blowing within and outside the skin is also an object of sense perception. This sense perception is also a source of knowledge, and therefore it is suggested here that physical or physiological knowledge is subordinate to the knowledge of the self. As above mentioned, knowledge of the self can expand to the knowledge of phenomena, but physical knowledge cannot lead to knowledge of the self. There is, however, an intimate relation between the hairs on the body and the vegetation on the body of the earth. Very interesting. The vegetables are nourishment for the skin, both as food and medicine. As stated in the third canto, Tvacham Ashabinam Vivishor Disham Ashodi. So, I was going to just go ahead and read, but I'm having trouble reading, so I think I'll talk. So I'll just have to tell Mayapur what's happening. Om Gyantam Varandasha Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksudam Litam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, there's one thing that Krishna doesn't control, and that is what? Very well, right. We have free will, and we can decide whether we want to stay with Krishna or turn our back on him. And it's like, just say you're walking around in an area like maybe by the water or something, by the beach, and your family's there, and over here's the ocean, and then at one point you just turn your back to them. Once you turn your back to Krishna, you're in the ocean. You're in Maya. And once you go enter Maya, the network of actions and reactions begin, and you become more and more entangled. Sort of like putting your hand in something like this, and then you try to get it out with your foot. Now your foot's stuck, and you might get the hand, but then you try to get that out, and then just the other foot. Now both foot are stuck. You just keep getting more and more entangled and involved. And if you've ever seen like a bug that's stuck in a spider's web, the more it struggles, the more it becomes entangled and becomes wrapped up in this web. So we are entangled here. I don't know if any of you had experiencing like growing up near the ocean and go swimming in the ocean. And sometimes the tide is just basically an in and out kind of tide, and you can ride the waves. And other times you go in and there's a strong tide that's pulling you. Like say I go in and I see my friends and family right there, but then I'm playing around, and then next thing I know I look, I don't see them. And then I look and they're way over there, about a quarter mile away. Imperceptibly I've drifted away. The tide's taking you that way. Other times there's another kind of tide. It's called the rip tide. You get in a rip tide, I don't care how good of a swimmer you are. You're going to really need some divine intervention to get out of the rip tide, and it can drag you down. Then there's also these aquatics that are in the ocean. Like a shark. You could be just going around like a surfer on a surfboard, and your legs are dangling, and the next thing you know, like a razor blade, like vice, grabs your leg and pulls you down, cuts you up. Like, you're lucky you can maybe hit his nose and get free, but it's very dangerous. So that's the nature of this ocean of material existence. And only if someone who's expert, lifesaver, can come along and throw you, a life preserver, and you're able to be pulled up onto the boat, onto the boat of transcendental knowledge that the Srimad Bhagavatam is. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the boat of transcendental knowledge. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead left this planet 5,000 years ago, he incarnated into the Srimad Bhagavatam. This sound vibration, it's not just a book, it's a sound vibration. This is an object, it's an object, it's an external object. But inside of it is substance. And the substance is sound vibration. And that sound vibration is not just words, and there's a key to having it finally be revealed. It isn't like you can just sit down and start reading it and then mentally, analyzing it, and then maybe you become expert in memorizing all the verses, and It's not a question of memorization. It's not a test at the end of life that will say, okay, so what is verse number 17 in chapter 3 of the Canto 4? It's not like that. This is revealed knowledge. I mean, I'm not saying that that's not an important thing. Prabhupada said you should know these books. You should be just like a lawyer in a court and be able to pull up the previous precedent cases and be able to quote from the scriptures. And even if you can't necessarily quote all the Sanskrit or exactly word for word, but verbatim, but you have the essence of it. You have that understanding. Then, and you have full faith in it. Then you can help other people, because part of the process of having this knowledge revealed is giving it to others. First, you have to give it to yourself or accept it. Because it's being given to us through the parampara. And through, practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, and not in a mechanical way, but, understanding why you're doing this, understanding why there's certain rules and these regulations, and try to, really enter into that mood. And it's a question of, people say, well, it's repetitive. Well, the thing is that we're very forgetful, and unless you and actually, I always used to think, I've got all these books, and after I finish, working and getting enough money together, I can sit down and read all these books, and in the last part of my life. But I'm like a time traveler. I've traveled into the future, and I'm looking back at all of you younger people. And most of you are younger than I am, and I'm telling you that the future is that it's confirmed. You won't be able, you won't, it's more difficult to focus. It's more difficult even to I was having trouble reading today. I was having trouble seeing. I had 2 pairs of glasses on. I don't know what that's about. So, obviously, I need to get stronger glasses. But, other things, interfere with your ability to sit down and meditate on what is being said and being able to understand and remember what you have been reading. And so, like Prahlad Maharaj told all his friends in school, don't play with these things. Now, while you're young, take advantage of your youth. Take advantage of this youthful energy and your ability to focus and really dive in deep into this chanting, this hearing and chanting, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam. Engage in Bhakti Yoga now. Don't wait. There's nothing to wait for. We've already been here since time immemorial. So, as I was saying earlier, we're in the spiritual world. Who knows why? For some reason we turn our back on Krishna. And we can see the material world. We get curious, we look at it, and she is very seductive. And she allures us. It looks like a very interesting place. And now you go and you venture in. And then you get there, and there's lamentation, there's anxiety, there's fear, there's diseases, there's death, there's jealousy, there's greed, there's envy, there's hatred, there's wars. Oh, and sometimes there's a little bit of frolicking. But, and you can also, I don't want to paint a completely dark, picture of Maya, but because sometimes people say, well, yeah, I can go to the heavenly planets. You hear these descriptions of what it's like on Indraloka and how they're living there for a very long time. Everyone's very beautiful. No one has diseases. Everything is relishable. There's beautiful aromatic flowers and gardens, and you can enjoy with your friends and the opposite sex. And you're living on the results of your pious activities. Impious and pious, it's 2 sides of the same coin. It's material. If it's not connected to Krishna, it's useless. It'll only get you further implicated in this network of birth, death, old age, and disease, doing dances with the same jivas. The last lifetime you did that, I'm going to do this back, and you just keep going on and on and on and on. And at one point, finally the soul has had enough. And then, through Krishna's mercy, there's nothing you can do except for maybe, you stumble upon a holy Dham, or you stumble upon a Vaishnava, and you hear the holy name. I was reading something recently where this person who he was completely fixed in the Brahman realization. Totally fixed. He was totally equiposed. Nothing could disturb him. And then one day, a Vaishnava was experiencing ecstatic symptoms by chanting. His hairs are standing on end. His tears are shooting out of his eyes. And those tears hit his body. And this person is experiencing joy that he's never seen before. And something holds him back. He wants to go and find out what it is. And he's chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And he wants to find out what is this. But he doesn't. And then it just goes on more and more as time goes by. He's thinking, I had a chance to find out what is that joy he was experiencing. I'm completely realized. I'm a follower of Sankaracharya. I've attained perfection. Nothing bothers me. None of the dualities. I'm not affected by them. But he was experiencing such joy. What is that? So he finally starts searching out someone, another Vaishnava, to find out what is that joy and how to achieve that joy. So, and all of us have some story, something that somewhere, you're walking. For me, I was sitting inside of they had these stores, and it was like 50 types of muffins. Like a blueberry, cranberry, blueberry, pomegranate, cherry, strawberry. It was all these different types of muffins, and I'm sitting in there, and I hear I go outside and look. What is that? Who are these people? I mean, I'd heard about Hare Krishna, and I wanted to find out what it was about, but I never saw it before. And they're like, either they had just descended from another planet, or they're the postgraduate study of hippie life. I didn't know what it was, but I had to find out. And then Radharani, she shows me the mantra on a card. She teaches me how to chant it. But I said, is this transcendental meditation? Because I didn't like that Maharishi. I didn't like him at all. And she said, it's transcendental and it's meditation. And I realized that she was saying, it's not transcendental meditation, but this is transcendental and it's meditation. She said, you just chant these words here. You chant that. And then it turns out that when I got this job in a hospital, and there every day when I get off work, that's where they were having Harinam. And every day I was talking, I get off work to go to my apartment, and there's the devotees chanting. And I saw all kinds of things happening. I saw one day this man attacked Giriraj. I didn't know he was Giriraj at the time, but I mean, I know now he was Giriraj. And he started beating him. And it was like, I wanted to jump in, but then everything broke up and they arrested that man. And then, but I saw they didn't want to press charges. They were real blissful. Nothing seemed to bother them. But at the same time, I would ask them, I had got one of their books. I got that blue original Bhagavad Gita. I was reading that. And then one day a devotee asked me, here, take, it was a 45 by the George Harrison and the devotees. He said, here, by listening to this record, you can attain transcendence. And if that's material, how can I reach transcendence through something material? He didn't know how to answer it. And so I thought, these people, I don't know, they're not real. I think they're naive. They don't really know. And I had my own ideas, but something inside I always knew this was the thing, and I was afraid it was the thing because it meant I'd had to give up certain things that I was very attached to. And but gradually, I was fortunate enough to constantly being set up so that Krishna was drawing me in, and I'm praying that I can stay in. But so the fact is that do we want to stay? We went off wandering one day in the spiritual world. We see this Maya. Oh, and then next thing you know, Krishna says, okay, go ahead. Go on. Now I'm lamenting all the time. I'm hankering all the time. I'm angry. I'm worried. I get sick. I'm suspicious.
I like that one.
Am I saying this out loud? No. And I look at my face and I go, who is that? I mean, I had an experience, I probably mentioned this before, a couple of years back, or maybe a couple of decades now, and there was a motor vehicle thing, and it said, color the hair, I put down black. And the woman looked at me, she said, sir, your hair is not black. I said, my hair is black. She held up a mirror, your hair is white. Anyway, so you just start to deteriorate right in front of yourself. But that's not who we are. And there's something wrong, because we by nature are eternal. We by nature are always blissful. We by nature are never in ignorance. I always want to know, what do these other people know that I don't know? There's these people that are always there's the in crowd. There was a song back in the 50s or 60s, and it goes, I'm in with the in crowd. It was like a beatnik song or something. And everybody wanted to be in the in crowd. But what is the in crowd? What do they know that anybody else doesn't know? You have to keep up with this and that. Or the best neighborhoods to live in, the best cars, the best restaurants to eat at, the best new latest styles. And then you look back a couple of years later and you think, I wore that? Really? I had my hair looking like that? I thought he was attractive? What? I thought she was, oh no. You see an old girlfriend and, whoa, I escaped. Whatever, it's not, love is not skin deep. So we're just like fish out of water. It's that great example. There's a play, Big Fish, Little Fish, or something like that, where he comes and he can't enjoy himself. What am I supposed to do here? Well, you're supposed to enjoy, but how? How do I enjoy? Well, here's some toys. Okay, I play with the toys, and then it's boring. I remember sitting in my living room as a kid, looking outside the window, it's raining, and my mother would give me some toy. It's like a gas station model, and I'd put it together. All right, I put it together, now what would I do? I was bored. I was always fighting boredom. What do I do for fun? What is fun? And then who's fun? Who to hang out with? And you're judged by who you... So we don't belong here. We made a mistake. We walked away from Krishna. Why? Because of something in my... So I remember thinking one time, I was with some devotees, we were traveling, and we were in a campsite, and they started reading about, if you worship this demigod, you get really good health. If you worship this demigod, you get a beautiful wife. If you worship this demigod, you get nice. But this is not for us. We worship Krishna because Krishna is controlling all of them. And I'm thinking, yeah, but on the side, I could worship a couple of them. Who will know? You know what I mean? Maybe I could, I'd like to have a beautiful wife. I'd like to have a little money. But it's not like, so then you go to the heavenly planet. Then you enjoy for a while. For a long while. You really enjoy. But you got to come back down and start over again. And then it's over again. And then over again. And then over again. How many lifetimes? How many kalpas? How many creations? In and out of Mahavishnu. We're up, we're down, we're in between. We're worms, we're demigods. But actually, we're a we are a unique individual. Nobody is like you. You have your own unique relationship with Krishna. There is no reason ever to be envious of anyone. Ever. Because you yourself, I mean, I'm not talking like, these New Age people. This is true though. On the spiritual level, there is nobody like you. You just don't know who you are. Krishna knows. And we can find out eventually. But we have to be really serious about the process. And it's a joyful process. Except when you have to wash the pots. But that is joyful. I mean, that was the first engagement I had, was washing pots. And you're cleaning your heart. And they used to say that all the time. And I was okay. But it's true. It really is true. And in the end, it all works out. We just have to be really convinced. In other words, the sound vibration of studying the Bhagavatam together and chanting your rounds and paying attention to your rounds. Really trying to hear it. Not thinking about what I'm going to do later today. Why did I say that yesterday? I don't know. Why did they say that to me? I don't know. I'm going to say something to them tomorrow. Just hearing the sound vibration. Every now and then you get a glimpse. Occasionally, I'll get a half a round. I'm like, I'm on it. I got it. Now I got it. Not like yesterday when I went off and started thinking, I'm not going to do that again. And then I start doing it again. But you catch it, and you realize this is amazing. That sound. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. I saw recently, early in the morning, the devotees in Atlanta, they had their TV camera set up again. The last couple of days they haven't had it on, but they had it on, and it went into their japa period. And there was one devotee sitting right in front of the Prabhupada's murti there. And they started off with this, there's two ways, there's called the japa, the slower form of japa with Prabhupada, and then there's the Hare Krishna like that. But this one was a combination. And it started off with Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. And then slowly, imperceptibly, it started to get a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster. And you really got your mind fixed in the sound, in that sound vibration. That's the key, is getting our minds fixed. We capture the mind between the tongue and the ears. We capture it with that sound vibration. And Krishna is in that sound vibration. So yes, we read, we try to understand it, we talk about it, but ultimately it will be revealed. It's revealed knowledge. And every one of us has this. And actually, it's too late for all of us. We can't turn back now. Whether you want to or not, you can delay things and waste a lot of time and suffer some more, or you can, go ahead and jump in on the deep end. So, all right, I already went too long. Okay, yes?
What happened when you went home and listened to the 45?
I didn't buy it.
Oh.
What happened was because he didn't convince me, and because I thought they were naive, because I had my own thing. I don't want to get into too much detail what I was into, but it was pretty mundane. It involved certain types of intoxication and female friends, and I thought that was important. And but then I got dragged to a Sunday feast. I was telling Bhakti Maharani? Bhakti Mohini yesterday. Her spiritual master is Gopal Krishna Maharaj. And it happened to be that I was at the Cambridge Commons on a Sunday with my girlfriend, and the devotees, they were and in an old BTG, you'll see a picture of devotees in Boston in a big circle, and they're having kirtan, and they were inviting everyone back to the temple for a big festival. And I see these people every day, and I plans. I had other plans for that afternoon, but my girlfriend was studying comparative religion. She said, "No, come on, let's go." And so I went, and then, I've told the story before where Jadharani's standing there saying, "I'd like to wash your feet." And I said, "What's wrong with my feet?" My feet are perfectly clean. It was insulting. I thought it was insulting. She said, "No, this is just a way we receive people." And I'm like, "Let's get out of here." And she said, "No, come, just do it. All right, so I did it. Then she said, "I have some sacred mud, and I want to put it on your forehead." You want to clean my clean feet, and now you want to put mud on my forehead. Okay, all right. Now, it's a free feast, but we do accept donations. We need $1. I'm looking at her name was Robin. I was looking at her, what is this? Come on, let's go. And she said, "Just do it." And so I did. So we went upstairs, and for me, immediately I got up there and I was so happy. But it was really like some kind of, sort of like a Salvador Dali painting, because it was like, it's a sanctuary, but they're building this thing for a fire yajna. And there's 3 brahmacharis sitting, reading out of 3 different books, and nobody's listening to them. And I immediately noticed there was an electric fan in the corner. I think, transcendental, huh? These are the kinds of stupid things. But everything about them, and this actually happened to be the day that Ananga Manjari moved into the temple. And it turned out to be the day that Gopal Krishna Maharaj was getting married. And Satyarup Maharaj was performing the yajna. And so all of a sudden we're sitting there, and they're starting a fire in the middle of the room. And now my girlfriend's going, "Okay, let's go. We got to get out of here." And I said, No, I like this. I'm staying. And what happened was there was a kirtan, and I got into the kirtan. And she's looking at me, "What are you doing?" I said, "This is great. Come on, sing." And then, anyway, I stayed and she left. But I didn't stay there permanently. But Satyarup Maharaj was performing the yajna, and he immediately afterwards came over and sat down next to me. I'll tell you, I don't know what it was they were serving, but it was probably one of my top 3 feasts that I've ever tasted. I can remember something was turquoise color. There was just different, the colors, the aromas, the taste, everything was fantastic. Simple, little, perhaps not a lot. And then Satyarup Maharaj, I asked him, "What about this record?" They said I can reach transcendence through a record. How is that? And then he explains to me that that's a very important question that Pariksit Maharaj asked to Sukadeva Goswami. How do you reach transcendence through material senses? And then he explained how by using the senses, he said it's like putting an iron rod into the fire, and it goes into the fire, and it becomes like fire. So your question was, what did I do when I finally did? I did, but you know what? The night before Katrina was coming, we had a Janmashtami here, and that devotee who was here, I forget his name. He had the 45, that same 45, and he was selling it at the auction, and I paid $25 for it.
Wow.
I still have it.
Ghana section?
Huh?
Ghana section?
Yeah.
That boy?
He
carries those.
Yeah. He told me it was the only one he had. Yeah?
Prabhu, didn't you go on to produce 1 million 45s?
And no, they were LPs.
LPs.
Yeah, we did. My first wife and a couple other boys, we did a couple of albums, and they all sold, over 1 million each. I use material things to engage the senses spiritually, just like we use our bodies. I mean, that's the philosophy. We spiritualize ourselves by using these bodies in the service of Krishna. By chanting Hare Krishna and chant without offense, then the more we can purify ourselves, the more benefit we get from it. And so the senses become purified by coming in contact. So it's called Yukta Vairagya. We're using that camera. And there would have been a microphone, but there isn't now. But so we're using things to broadcast the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it all works. We're playing that record now, every day. Can you imagine those devotees that were involved in that? Can you imagine that? You know, and George Harrison, and Mukunda, and Shamsunda, and Malati, and Jamuna. Every temple, everywhere on this planet, at practically, probably just now, somewhere on this planet, you're hearing Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Jami. What's it take? What? Talk about pious activities. I mean, that's beyond. So fortunate. And so, we got a lot of good response from those records, actually. Used to get really nice. At one time, the second one we did, this was before Christian rock was a popular thing, and all these Christians were sending me their demos and wanting me to produce their records, thinking that, because the second record we didn't put the mantra on, we just used the philosophy, because we're in Atlanta, and the philosophy, they would agree with it, but once we started talking about Krishna, they just went, I am the way, the truth, and the light, no one reaches the Father save through me. So I wanted to trick them, and so many Christians were writing to me, oh, we love the music, it's such a beautiful thing, and can you help me, get the word out through music, but I was, so, but I wish I had bought the record at that time. It would have probably, but the thing is that I was fortunate that I also, later that year, I went to San Francisco, and I got to meet Jayananda. That's where I got a Krishna book on Christmas Day, 1970. So, yeah, it all worked out. Any other questions? Sorry, I sort of just went off on a tangent. Yeah.
I see that you can chant like Srila Prabhupada. Did you practice that?
What?
Just now you were chanting?
Japa?
Yeah.
No, I listened to him, and thank you, that's a great compliment. I imitate, it's like, but it's true, the way he does it, if you really listen to it, it's like, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare. You really get into it, and it really captures, especially on the Rama part. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
That one, really.
Hare Ram,
Keep going.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, Hare Bol. I didn't think I was going to be able to give a class.
You did good. You got to keep doing it.
I just started talking